So it's been a few days since Fortnite released its gyro aiming update on all platforms. I've already seen people make great use of it. However, there are also people who don't even know what to do with it yet, so I made this video to help you get started with it. All you'll need is a Nintendo Switch, a PlayStation controller, or even your own phone. Let's get started.
So the first thing you're going to want to do if you're on PC is to plug in your controller. If you're playing on console, you're not going to need to worry about this, but if you're playing on PC, then it's important that you have a PlayStation controller plugged in at all times. Now, the gyro settings are currently located under Touch and Motion. Go ahead and turn it on and you can start messing with your settings. The setting Active Mode Combat tells the game when to turn the gyro on. I like to have it always on, but for beginners, I recommend having it only turn on when scoping in or aiming with the left trigger. Active mode building is obviously the same thing, but for build mode. It tells the game to turn the gyro on during build mode, and usually defaults to editing only. But I see people favoring having it always on so they have more control over what they're editing and building at all times. Feel free to experiment with that. Now, Look Stick Effect tells the game to turn the gyro off whenever you're touching the right stick. For beginners, this is probably useful for people trying to figure out the difference between gyro and stick aiming. You see, whenever I use the stick, the gyro turns off, but whenever I let the stick go, the gyro turns back on. Personally, I leave it on because I find it's easier to track targets this way, using both stick and gyro at the same time, as well as making faster camera movements. However, I find it's useful to leave it on when you're using flick stick. When flick stick is active, you can't use the stick to look up and down, and sometimes you'll find yourself in awkward positions, and trying to readjust your controller will cause you to look at the sky. Most of the time, people use a gyro off or modifier button to pause the gyro and readjust yourself, but I find using the stick for that is useful for freeing up the face buttons for other actions. And now for the meat and potatoes of the gyro settings. The sensitivity is what you're going to be focusing on most of the time. For beginners, I recommend starting off at a 1 or 2 sensitivity. Feel free to experiment going lower or higher than that, depending on how you like to move your arms. Now, something that'll help you understand the sensitivity scaling in this game is to know that it measures in real-world proportions. That means if you turn the controller 90 degrees, it will also turn the camera 90 degrees. Or turning the controller 360 degrees will also turn the camera 360 degrees. While at a sensitivity of 2, turning the controller 90 degrees will turn the camera 180 degrees. As you can see, I am now facing the back wall. Knowing this will make setting up gyro for other games a lot easier, because your muscle memory will never change. Remember, the best settings for this game do not exist. The best settings are what you feel comfortable with. If you see a video that claims to have the best settings for this game, ignore it. Well, that does it for this video. Leave a comment if you'd like to see me explain more in the future. I'll see you Starside.